We now have Simphiwe Letlojane, the investment strategist at Absa Investments, on a much better line and joins me. Simphiwe, thank you so much for your patience. Earlier on, I was saying that the minutes of the Fed show that they are unlikely to be raising interest rate or cutting interest rates rather anytime soon. What does that mean for us domestically in South Africa, given that the Reserve Bank MPC also will be sitting this month? Can we expect them to follow suit and delay cuts for a little while longer?
Yeah, I think when we're looking at our MPC, of course, they do highlight that they don't necessarily follow what the US Fed does, but of course, maintaining those interest rate differentials with our developed counterparts does remain important, as it has ramifications on the rand and, of course, subsequently currency-induced inflation, which plays quite a major key driver in our overall inflation levels. But when we do look at our own inflation, that has actually been range-bound for quite some time, but it does still remain above that 4.5 target that the MPC desires, and they're only seeing our inflation coming back to that target towards the latter half of next year. And of course, some of the risks to that outlook do remain, a bit of volatility with the rand, but we've seen that trading a little bit closer to the 18.5 mark, away from the 19 USD mark where it was trading earlier. And then, of course, unpredictable global oil prices, and we've seen, services inflation locally also beginning to creep up. So I think for the upcoming meeting, certainly not necessarily anticipating the MPC to cut rates, but markets still penciling in potential cuts towards the latter half of the year.
Right. Yesterday we saw S&P Global South Africa PMI dropping to 49.2 in June, down from 50.4, which obviously indicate contraction. The manufacturing sector is still quite under pressure, isn't it? What really do we need to be doing in order for it to start, keeping up at acceptable levels above 50 basis points?
Yeah, certainly. Look, we did see that print, still remaining in contraction, but it was a minor improvement from the prior month's print. But I think what was a positive there was that we did see employment specifically for manufacturing improving over the period. But overall business activity does remain fairly subdued. And I think one of the other challenges that the sector still faces is around, the logistical bottlenecks, at the major ports. So that affecting quite a bit of, the movements that need to take place throughout the country. And then, of course, demand is also a little bit weak. So, output as well as new sales orders are a little bit under pressure, as of course, globally and locally, macroeconomic headwinds do continue to persist.
Yeah, we saw that the JSE index edged up to around 81,100, 200 today, reaching record levels. Take us through what is driving it. What is it that the market is seeing that we're not seeing?
Yeah, we're seeing the markets having another positive day today. So, as you correctly mentioned, trading at, in excess of that 80,000 point mark. But as we know, that 80,000 point mark has been a resistance level for the markets over the past 2 to 3 years. So markets do tend to fail to sustain prices above that level. And really, this is, of course, in the absence of earnings to support prices higher. And really what will need to be a key catalyst for us to see our local markets breaching that level sustainably would be improvements in local macroeconomic activity, improvements in consumer and business confidence and spending levels. And then, of course, when it comes to resources, they are still facing a bit of a depressed commodity price environment, but any improvements in commodity prices should bode well for that sector.
Yeah. Let's talk now about the difficulties of co-governance. We're seeing the challenges that are being witnessed now in Gauteng, which is the economic hub of the country. How important is getting the appointments right there, and the significance of getting those appointments right, seeing that Gauteng is a hub and it needs to have the right people? What are your thoughts with regards to what is happening in the provincial legislature?
Yeah, look, I think the Gauteng province is very important to our local economy. It contributes about a third of our local economy's GDP. And of course, not only just from a provincial level, but even at a national level. It's quite important to have, political stability as it affects investor confidence levels. It also affects, government's ability to essentially carry through, the initiatives from a policy perspective, as those tend to be long-term in nature and do take a bit of time to bear fruit. And so you need a bit of continuity with regards to, the appointments and the members and, everyone still being on board in terms of what needs to happen. I think one of the key positives, at least, is that from a national level, we did see some continuity there when we're looking at the finance ministry. So that's still sticking to the fiscal reform that the country is on, and also trying to make some structural reform overall. And I think hopefully that could also, filter through to the rest of the provinces as well.